Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take the latest research, the big ideas, and distill them down into something, well, fascinating for you. And today, we're looking at something that really challenges a scientific idea that's been solid for, what, over 100 years?
Yeah, imagine two things that fundamentally don't mix, like
Yep.
oil and water, right? Or in physics, maybe think magnets and superconductors. For ages, the rule was they're incompatible. Magnets, they make magnetic fields. Superconductors, they famously kick out magnetic fields.
Exactly. That's the core concept. It's called the Meissner effect. Physicist Walter Meissner figured this out way back in 1933. Superconductors actively push magnetic fields away. That whole idea of magnetic levitation, like for maglev trains, that hinges on this effect. The superconductor repels the magnet.
Right. So the standard thinking, the lore, as one researcher put it, is that superconductors just do not like magnetic fields, period. But what if that wasn't entirely true? What if physicists found a material that does both? It's a superconductor and it's magnetic at the same time. Well, that's precisely what we're diving into. It sounds impossible, like finding, I don't know, fire that's also wet. But a team, mainly from MIT, published this groundbreaking paper in Nature. They found exactly that. A superconductor that is also intrinsically magnetic. It generates its own field.
Okay, so our mission today, unpack this one-of-a-kind discovery. What is this stuff? Where did they find it? And, why is it such a massive deal for physics and maybe even future tech?
It really is a head-scratcher in the best way possible. It forces a major rethink. As you said, the established science is crystal clear. Superconductors conduct electricity with zero resistance, no energy loss. Amazing property. And that Meissner effect, pushing fields away, was seen as, well, fundamental to being a superconductor. Long Ju, assistant professor at MIT, senior author on the study, he basically said, yeah, the lore is they hate magnetic fields.
So how big a leap is it then, mentally, for physicists to even consider a material that creates its own magnetic field while doing the zero resistance thing?
Oh, it's huge. It fundamentally contradicts the basic picture we've had for so long. But this team, MIT, with collaborators from Florida State, University of Basel in Switzerland, and Japan's National Institute for Material Science, they found it. They call it a chiral superconductor.
Chiral, like handedness, left hand, right hand.
Exactly like that. It implies a specific directionality, a kind of twist in the material's nature at the quantum level. And that twist seems to be the key. It allows it to be both superconducting and intrinsically magnetic.
Okay, this is already bending my brain a bit, but the really wild part, the thing that makes you go, wait, what? Is where they found this exotic behavior. You'd think it'd be some bizarre synthesized compound cooked up under crazy conditions, right?
You would think so, but no.
Yeah.
Get this. They observed it in ordinary graphite.
Graphite, like pencil lead? Serious?
Basically, yes, the same stuff. Now, it's not just any piece of graphite. The structure is key, but the base material.
Yeah.
Humble graphite.
Wow, okay. That is a wow moment. So quantum marvels hiding in my pencil. What's special about this graphite then?
Right, so graphite is essentially stacks of graphene sheets, these incredibly thin, one-atom thick layers of carbon. Usually they stack in a simple alternating pattern, 80 Bab. But sometimes in tiny pockets, the stacking is different. It's called rhombohedral stacking. Think of it less like flat sheets perfectly aligned and more like a staircase where each layer is slightly offset from the one below.
Ah, okay. A specific microscopic arrangement. And the MIT team, under Lonju, they zeroed in on tiny flakes of this rhombohedral graphene, specifically ones with, what, 4 or 5 layers?
Precisely. They isolated these tiny, specially stacked flakes, and then they needed extreme conditions.
Extreme how?
We're talking ultra cold. They had to cool these flakes down to 300 millikelvins. That's incredibly cold. Just fractions of a degree above absolute zero. Minus 273 Celsius or minus 460 Fahrenheit, roughly.
Okay, so super cold, specially stacked graphite flakes. But the core question remains, how does it do both? How does it superconduct and be magnetic? We know superconductors have Cooper pairs of electrons gliding through.
Right, the Cooper pairs are key for zero resistance. But the chiral part is the extra magic here. In this rhombohedral graphene, under those cold conditions, when electrons form those Cooper pairs, they do something else too. They all collectively adopt the same momentum state. It's like, imagine all the pairs aren't just gliding. They're all spinning together in the exact same direction, either all clockwise or all counterclockwise.
Like synchronized swimmers, but for electrons, and they're all doing the same synchronized spin.
That's a decent analogy.
Yeah.
And this collective unified spinning motion, this orbital motion, is what actually generates an internal magnetic field. It's not repelling an external one. The superconductivity itself is creating magnetism.
That is fascinating. So the electron pair's dance creates the magnetism from within.
Exactly. Tong Heng Han, who's a student in the group, put it nicely. He said, think of the two electrons in a pair spinning one way or the other, and that corresponds to a tiny magnet pointing up or down. Because they all do it together, you get a real magnetic effect. That's the chiral part. Liang Fu, another physics professor at MIT involved, basically said it's remarkable that something so exotic comes from such simple ingredients.
The theory sounds compelling, but what did they actually see in the lab? What was the smoking gun proof from Longju's team in their electrical tests?
The key experiment involved sweeping an external magnetic field across their little graphene flake. A normal superconductor would just stay superconducting, zero resistance, maybe up to a certain field strength. But this material did something weird. It switched. Zach Hodry, another student on the team, described it vividly. He said it wasn't just staying at zero resistance, it seemed to flip between two distinct superconducting states.
Flip? Like how?
Like a tiny magnet. Imagine it starts out superconducting with its internal magnet pointing up. Apply an external field and slip, it switches to superconducting with its internal magnet pointing down.
Whoa! So it's behaving like a switchable magnet while it's superconducting.
Precisely. That switching behavior, that magnetic hysteresis, is the undeniable sign of intrinsic magnetism. And as they noted, it's absent in other superconductors. It's direct proof.
Okay, that's concrete. And how tough is this state? How easily is it disrupted?
Remarkably tough, actually. It stayed superconducting even when they applied strong magnetic fields parallel to the graphene sheets, which often kills superconductivity. And the critical magnetic field, the field strength needed to finally break the superconductivity, was unusually high. They measured up to 1.4 Tesla in the 5-layer samples.
1.4 Tesla. That's a strong magnetic field, isn't it? Like MRI machines strong.
It is strong, yeah. Way, way stronger than Earth's field. It suggests what physicists call strong coupling superconductivity. The electron pairs are really robustly bound together.
And didn't they find hints of this magnetic behavior even when it wasn't superconducting? Above those super cold temperatures?
They did. That's another fascinating piece. They saw things like anomalous Hall signals and that magnetic switching behavior even in the material's normal, non-superconducting state.
What does that mean?
Well, it suggests that the underlying physics that breaks certain symmetries, like time reversal symmetry, which is related to magnetism and creates this handedness or valley polarization, it's already baked into the electronic structure of this rhombohedral graphene before it even becomes a superconductor. The potential for magnetism and the specific chemilality are inherent properties, just waiting for the extreme cold and Cooper pairing to fully manifest them together.
Okay, this is clearly a huge so what moment for physics. It literally rewrites a section of the textbook, right? Proving oil and water can mix in the quantum sense.
Absolutely. It forces a fundamental reevaluation, but the implications go way beyond just updating textbooks.
Right, you mentioned technology. Quantum computing came up. How does this fit in?
Well, as Tong Heng Han pointed out, this material is now a prime candidate for a topological superconductor.
Topological superconductor. Okay, why is that designation so important?
Topological superconductors are kind of the holy grail for building better quantum computers. They're predicted to host these really strange, exotic quasi-particles. You might have heard of them. Majorana fermions or Majorana zero modes.
Majorana fermions. I've heard the name. What's special about them?
The really simplified version is that they are their own antiparticles. This unique property makes them incredibly resistant to disturbance from the outside world. Noise, temperature fluctuations, things that easily mess up normal quantum states. If you can create and control Majoranas, you could potentially use them as qubits, the building blocks of quantum computers that are naturally protected against errors. This leads to the idea of fault-tolerant quantum computers.
Fault-tolerant, meaning they'd be much more stable and reliable than the quantum computers we have now, which are notoriously sensitive.
Exactly. It could be a pathway to quantum computers that can actually solve large, complex problems without being constantly derailed by errors. That's a game changer.
So, finding a real material, like this chiral graphene, it's not just theory anymore, it's a potential platform.
It's a very promising new platform, yes.
Right.
It opens up whole new avenues for exploring not just superconductivity, but also this interplay with electron topology, the sort of geometric properties of electron states. It could really accelerate the search for these Majorana modes and future technologies.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up for everyone listening. Let's boil down the key takeaways from this incredible discovery. Takeaway number 1. Physics isn't finished. A century-old rule that superconductors and magnets are like oil and water has just been overturned.
Yeah.
They can coexist thanks to this new chiral superconductor.
Yep, fundamental assumptions are still being tested and sometimes broken.
Takeaway number 2, look closely at the commonplace. This quantum revolution wasn't found in some unobtainium element, but in specially arranged layers of graphite pencil lead. Amazing discoveries can hide in plain sight.
It's a great reminder about the richness of even seemingly simple materials.
And takeaway number 3, this isn't just abstract science. This discovery, led by Longju's team at MIT and published in Nature, provides a brand new platform that could potentially lead to fault-tolerant quantum computers using those exotic Majorana fermions. That's a huge leap towards truly powerful quantum tech.
Absolutely. It connects fundamental physics directly to potentially world-changing technology. This deep dive really shows that the quantum world, even inside familiar stuff like graphite, is full of surprises that keep pushing our boundaries. It's really a victory for careful experimentation and just asking what if.
It really is. And it leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? If a rule this basic, discovered in something this common, can be overturned, what other impossible scientific ideas are just waiting for the right experiment, the right perspective? What other revolutionary technologies might be hiding just beneath the surface of what we think we know? Makes you wonder.